Hi, this is Sharon Brennan. I'm a Cottage Lane, my business name is Cottage Lane Stamper, and I am doing a kind of a request video. A lady bought some of my templates off of my Etsy shop. It's for these little mini CD calendars, and you cut them out and then you stamp or design the top. And she wanted to know what coloring tools I use or what I use to color them other than just straight stamping. So Kathy, this is for you. These are my calendars. This one's from 2023. I don't keep one for myself. I probably should. You could advertising, but anyway, I do different stamping techniques. Some of these are die cut. I try to do mostly just straight stamping. I have one lady that orders 35 of these every year for Christmas gifts. And then I also do sell more on my my Etsy shop. And right now I'm taking pre-orders up until the 15th. And today is the 12th. So if you're interested in getting one that's already finished, shoot me an email at cottageLaneStamper or cottageLaneStamper@gmail.com. And I'll have that information in the video description. So, after I print out my calendars, I usually have pieces of paper left over, and that's what I'm going to use today. These are the scraps from the bottom of the paper, and I cut them. They are 3.5 inches wide, I believe. 3 3/4 inches wide, and 3.5 inches tall. So I use these scraps and I score them in 2-inch sections, and this is what I use to design my calendars. And I hope this is all in frame because I'm using my iPhone. I tell you, this is my 4th attempt at trying to do this video, so bear with me. So the first method I use is just directly stamping using a stamp pad. So this is one that I might use for January. I haven't decided, but so it's just straight ink to paper stamping. And like I said, this is what I'm trying to do more of this year. So that is one technique. And I've got ink in my fingers. Another technique that you can use is our alcohol markers. So I am going to stamp. Let's see what I do. I had some sitting out here, but I must have put them away. So our markers come, our Stampin' blends as they're called, they're alcohol markers, and they come in dark and light, and these are sold in a set. Each color will come with a dark and a light, and each color is sold separately. That makes sense. So these are sold as one unit, and then if you want blue, you buy like balmy blue in one unit, so on and so forth. So I'm going to stamp this little cup. And that wasn't a very good job stamping, and when you're using photopolymer stamps, you want to make sure that you use Stampin' Pierce mat below. It gives a little extra cush. The red rubber stamps have that cushion there. So I'm hoping these aren't dry. I'm going to start with dark and see how that works. And I like to highlight these little artist marks, and I make the inside of the cup darker. And just, there is also a bullet point on here for these finer parts. So you can just color that in. And then you can blend them, blend the colors. So this is the light. And the color just blends together. And this one seems to be drying out a little bit, but I've had these for a few years, so. Anyway, that is the alcohol marker, and that gives a nice, even, richer color. You can go over it a couple times, and the colors just blend together. And the only drawbacks I see is that, like I said, you have to buy multiple colors, and they do bleed through the back. So that is a second technique. A third technique that I like is using my watercolor pencils. Now, the colors I have here, I bought these a few years ago, so some of the colors are a little bit different. And I'm just going to take out a few colors here. I'm going to do this little wheelbarrow. And you're going to use a blender pen with that. And as you can see, I keep my pencil sharpener right in there. So we'll take out a few colors here. And so some of these colors are in here that are retired, like Calypso Coral or Bermuda Bay, but it's very close to Calypso Coral, and that's been replaced in the sets that are available now. So there is two collections, set 1 and set 2. So we're going to do some watercolor blending, watercolor pencil blending. So I'm going to stamp this little wheelbarrow, and just start coloring. So I'm gonna color, and then I'll speed this up for you so you don't have to watch me color the whole thing. So I've finished the coloring, and now we're going to use a blender pen to blend the colors together. And you want to start with your lightest color. And then kind of clean it off a little bit. And these blend away all the little pencil marks. And you can actually fill in along the edges if you've missed, there's some white spaces. You can blend that right in. And I'm going to do the wheelbarrow here, or the wheel and axle, or whatever it's called. And I didn't color this right here, this white, so I just picked up a little bit from the black here and colored it. Now we'll do the rest of the wheelbarrow. And I'm just doing this really quickly. So that is another coloring tool that you can use to make your calendars. And I keep mine all on this case that we used to sell. They were for our wood blocks. Since we don't have any wood-mounted stamps anymore, they don't sell these, but you can probably find them someplace, sometimes even in like thrift shops or online. So that is a third way. So we've got direct stamping, we've got blender pens, and we have watercolor pencils. Now you could also use, excuse me, and I'm using Memento ink for all of these. I'll have a chart on my blog, cottageplanenstamper.blogspot.com, that shows you what inks to use for what projects or type of media or cardstock you're using, whether you're using vellum or window sheets or regular cardstock. So these are Stampin' Write markers, and they have a writing point, so you can write with one end, and then they also have the brush point. So I should have grabbed one more color, but you can color with these. And these are available only in collections. You can only buy the whole set. And that's probably most of the in color, or the, what do you call them? Our basic colors. And I should have gotten a brown for the little cupcake, but I forgot. So that is another way to color, and these do not bleed through. But if you get the whole set, then you have multiple colors to choose from. So that is another way. Let me go get a color and color that cupcake in. So I'm just gonna color this in a little bit. And I tried earlier, and if you try to use a blender pen to blend the colors, you can't, because this is more like a permanent marker, like a Sharpie. So that is another option. And then there is just using, let's see, what have we got done here? We're going to use a little frog. And this little guy. So you could also, if I get a spare thing here. So I've got this little frog. This is another little piece of scrap paper here. And I'm gonna stamp him. I didn't get the totally awesome part, but that's okay. This is just for demonstration purposes. And I didn't bring any colors over for him. Another method is to use re-inkers and your stamp pads. So I have lemon lime twist here. Oh, I'll leave that tray open. And lemon lolly. So I hope that's in the frame there. Okay, just need to check it. So you can take a re-inker and just put a drop in the cover. And you can color with a blender pen. Now, this technique works best with watercolor paper, but it is another technique that you can use. So you can just pick up a little bit and just start coloring. And if that concentration is a little too much, you can actually add a little bit of water. Oh, come on. Whoa, that was a lot of water. I just keep a water bottle on my desk. So we're gonna just pick up a little bit more here. And like I said, this works better with watercolor paper. If you're using white cardstock and you color too much with it, you'll notice that the paper will start to pill or rub off. So this is another technique that you can use. And then of course, clean off your pen in between. These do have two ends to each marker, and they come 3 in a pack. So we're just going to use a little yellow here for his eyes. And his little dots here. So that is the third way. Like I said, it's better on watercolor paper. The color isn't as smooth. My preference is direct stamping. I think second would be the blender pens. And just in my case, watercolor pencils. I do like watercolor pencils. I like that you get a whole bunch of colors for one thing, one price. You don't have to invest a whole lot of money. I think for one of the collections, it's like $18, but you get like 12 or 13 pencils in it. And then you do need a blender pen to go with that. And then another tool you'll want is the Stampin' Scrub, and whoop, he fell off. To clean your stamps. So there is a wet side and a dry side, and there's this, I can't find my cleaner right now, but you can just use the wet and the dry, and there's little symbols on the bottom. One is a raindrop and one is the sun, and I actually put wet and dry on here so that for classes it's easier for people to see that. This is the side that washes, and this is the side that dries. So that's called the Stampin' Scrub. So those are the different techniques that I use. So we have the watercolor, the Stampin' Right markers with the ink, the re-inkers. Okay. And then we have the Stampin' Right markers. Cool. And then we have watercolor pencils, and we have the blender pens, Stampin' Blends, there. And then we have straight ink to paper. So I hope you find this helpful. If you want to make your own calendars, again, the template is in my Etsy shop. It's Cottage Lane Stamper, and the cases are there. I'll put links in the video description. It'll also be on my blog, cottagelanestamper.blogspot.com. And I hope this video works, because like this is the 4th one I've done. So anyway, thank you for stopping in. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. It helps the algorithms. If you don't do that, I won't show up in your feed on Facebook or Instagram. My YouTube channel is, you can look for Sharon Brennan or Cottage Lane Stamper. And then my blog is cottagelanestamper.blogspot.com. And I'll list all the different tools that I used. And I hope you enjoyed this. If it's helpful, if you have any questions or comments, please either email me or just put them in the comment section of the video or my blog, and I do answer all of them. So anyway, thank you for stopping in. I hope you have a great day. And